It's Thursday, June 2. In the headlines, another big increase in gas prices. Regionally, CCJ sets date for submissions for election petition. And in sports, West Indies wins second ODI and series. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gale. The alleged inflow of $1 billion from lottery scamming to purchase guns is the reason for the 53% year-on-year rise in homicides in Western Jamaica, so says National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang. He made the revelation during his contribution to the sectoral debate in Gordon House on Wednesday, stating his ministry is working with international partners to stem the issue.
We work with our partners because the money that the people that are being extorted are from, in fact, North America. And therefore, we have to work with them to get the evidence from the people who have been extorted. And we will work locally to identify where they're operating. So it's a very complex operation. We are giving full cooperation. They have personally worked with us. We have made progress, but it's hundreds of people involved. We have apprehended dozens. Some have been extradited, but it's a continuing process. And we have to be dynamic and keep changing our strategy and tactics.
Minister Chang notes that this inflow of money is from people being extorted in North America, and this is posing a grave risk to the stability of the Jamaican state.
Because not only buy guns that kill people, undermine and corrupt institutions, and indeed, when it gets well known, it does impact on our economy, because $1 billion is a legitimate money, is a huge amount of money. We work therefore closely with MOCA, the police department responsible, CTOC, CFCD, MOCA, and FIDU have to work closely to get on top of what's an emerging major crisis in this area of criminality.
Dr. Chang gave a breakdown of what is happening in the rural areas.
On the other hand, gangs involved in what we call advanced fee fraud are much smaller, and transshipment of drugs tend to avoid community petty crimes. They indulge in targeted killing of their competitors. This is evident in Area 1, which is where all the increase in homicide is taking place this year. The numbers have spread to the rural areas where the advanced fee fraud activists can go wherever there's a cell phone connectivity, operate their activity, and so they are scattered across. And once they go to a district, conflict emerges and you get murders in small quiet districts now, which requires increased numbers, increased change in tactics, and we're having extensive discussion how to move there.
He says the upsurge in murders in Western Jamaica reflects a significant shift of criminal activities to the rural areas where the use of hotspot policing and technology are far less effective. He conceded that controlling the criminal violence in the deep rural spaces presents a challenge. Motorists have been steadily paying more for gas in the last few months. As of June 2, Petrojam says a liter of 87 and 90 gasoline will sell for $4.50 more to reach the highest ex-refinery price since 2004. Authorities have been working to ease the pressure on public passenger vehicle operators. Transport Authority is reporting that by month's end, public passenger vehicle operators and owners will be one step closer to accessing their gas relief funds. The authority has released a statement saying it is in the final stages of discussions with the Finance Ministry regarding the allocation of the gas relief funds to the public land transportation sector. The authority says it is now trying to develop an effective and transparent system for PPV operators to apply for and access the gas grants. During the budget debate in March, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark announced the provision of $25,000 in gas relief grants for PPV operators to cushion the increasing cost of fuel. This program, which will cost the state $600 million, forms part of government's overall social assistance support of $3.7 billion. The National Security Minister, Dr. Horace Chang, says 300 CCTV cameras will be added to those already operational across the island this year.
We have instituted some 850 CCTV cameras in Kingston, Maypen, Mandeville, Ocherous, Negril, Montego Bay, Spanish Town, Santa Cruz, and Black River. We're examining, this year we'll complete another 300, primarily in the Kingston area and the corporate area, downtown Kingston and Stonehill. But we're currently examining the feasibility and the financial viability of building out the entire system, because it works extremely well and has proven to be vital as a tool in assisting the police.
He says funds have been put aside to complete the installation of the cameras in the corporate area before the end of the year. The National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, summoned the developers and residents to a meeting on Wednesday in a bid to iron out the tensions surrounding plans for an additional 430 hotel rooms along the narrow Freeport Peninsula in Montego Bay, St. James. Plans for the almost $11 billion investment has sparked concerns of citizens living in the area. Residents have cited issues with diminished beach access, the rundown state of the public access Seawind Beach Club, traffic congestion, noise pollution, and inadequate infrastructure, including narrow and deteriorating roads, inadequate drainage, overburdened sewage facilities, and inadequate water supply. Opposition spokesperson on education Angela Brown-Burke is calling for intervention for parents who have been unable to send their children back to school since the start of the new school term. She gave her suggestion during her contribution to the 2022-2023 sectoral debate in Parliament on Wednesday. Dr. Brown-Burke says parents have a responsibility to ensure their children attend school. She adds, however, that with the various impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Education Ministry should ascertain the reasons for students' absence from school.
Where we have children employed and earning, helping to defray the costs of providing for the family. What do you say to a student who says he's not registered for an external exam anyway? So why should he go back to school when he's actually earning? What do you say to parents who have lost their jobs and their daily hustle just cannot put food on the table, but their children are now picking up the slack? Can you imagine how distressed these parents must be? This certainly could not have been the dream they had for young Chelsea at 14 to be out of school and pregnant, nor for young Raheem to be rubbing out him and middle with the youths around the corner.
The Ministry of Education and Youth has established a yard-to-yard Find the Child initiative. The initiative, which began in January, slated to identify, locate and re-engage students. Portfolio Minister Fayval Williams explained to Parliament on January 11 that through this initiative, 580 youth workers under the HOPE program and 108 social workers will be engaged to complement the school-based teams at 478 public schools island-wide to go yard to yard to find students and to re-engage them with their schools so that they can continue their learning. The opposition spokesperson on education is suggesting an expanded planned intervention.
What about providing guidance and support to these youngsters? What about cushioning the crisis for them and their families and helping them lift their head above water? What agencies have been asked to intervene to deal with the specific circumstances? Madam Speaker, the financial position of many families is dire.
Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says legislation is coming to punish those who sell tobacco products to youngsters. He gave an update while addressing a virtual ceremony recognizing World No Tobacco Day this week.
To those who are getting away with pushing the habit of smoking, particularly among our young people, I just want to say to them, the proposed the proposed law has penalties for this kind of breach. You can, in parish court, be fined up to $1 million if you market or sell tobacco products to young people.
Minister Tufton is calling on Jamaicans to expose the persons who are pushing the sale of tobacco to youngsters.
Because I know that in this new e-cigarette scenario, people all do home delivery to young people, drop it off at them house, sell it out of the gate, and even some, unfortunately, of the very students carried in the school and sell it to their colleagues.
He notes that the government will have to do more in executing public education campaigns on the effects of tobacco smoking.
We have to see ourselves in public health and indeed as a country as defending the good health of our citizens. And it has to start with the children. And there's no better place to start than around this issue of tobacco because it is so destructive. There is no legitimate, objective argument that can be advanced that can even place any positive on tobacco consumption.
University of Technology Jamaica Professor Sermaine Barrett is questioning some of the practices at the Jamaica Teachers Council. She shared her concerns at the recent Joint Select Committee on the Jamaica Teaching Council Act 2022. Raquel Robinson has the details.
While making her contribution to the committee on May 31, Professor Barrett pointed out in the university's research ethical quandaries due to their dual responsibilities. She underscored the importance of independence from certain bodies and the lack of human resources needed to carry out duties of the organization.
In terms of the regulatory framework, looking specifically at the role of the Jamaica Teaching Council, we questioned whether the overlapping role of oversight and regulatory body would not constitute a conflict of interest. And so we suggest that good governance practice suggests that central oversight bodies like the JTC are most effective if they are independent of regulatory bodies and service provision entities. Further, we question if the JTC, which determines what the standards and professional development requirements are, should be the one developing and delivering such professional development programs, and then assess the competence of teachers who would have engaged in this professional development program. Further, we question whether the JTC is adequately staffed with internal accounting and administrative controls in place to, one, provide the necessary oversight functions as it relates to the multiple roles of licensure, processing complaints, investigations, and the dispensing of justice in matters of professional discipline brought before it.
Senator Kevon Gale also raised his own questions regarding specificities relative to being dubbed fit to teach.
Am I understanding that what you're suggesting is that you have what some employers treat as a psychometric test for teachers to be fit and ready in the classroom? So that is an area that I would want some clarification on.
Minister without portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister, Floyd Green, in response to the discussions about teachers being fit to teach, referred to the Act and the semantics of the requirements.
Under the bill, if I want to be deemed licensed under the bill to teach or authorized to teach, I would have to follow the process to be authorized to teach, and I would be deemed an instructor. Under the bill, I think the challenge is that because, as you said, part of the challenge is that you would not call a doctor, somebody with a doctorate, an instructor. But the bill would define them as an instructor, you know. So sometimes it comes down to the sort of accord that we have given to various titles.
After 20 years, the Teaching Council Bill is currently under revision in the Joint Select Committee. A major issue raised with the bill is pertaining to the exclusion of long-time teachers who do not have certain requirements. For PBCJ News, I'm Raquel Robinson.
Coming up in the business report, increase in gas prices. Scotiabank increases paid parental leave. Danita Rodney is at the business desk.
According to the latest reports from PetroJam, motorists should see an increase at the pumps in gasoline and diesel prices effective Thursday, June 2. 87 and 90 octane gasoline will be sold for $211.39 and $216.40 per liter respectively after a $4.50 increase. With a $3.06 increase, automotive diesel fuel will be sold for $214.01 per liter and ultra-low sulfur diesel will be sold for $216.74 per liter. Continuing with the $4.50 increase, kerosene will be sold for $188.30 per liter. Meanwhile, propane liquid petroleum will be sold for $75.59 per liter, up 50 cents, and butane liquid petroleum will be sold for $86.15 per liter after a $3.06 increase. Remember to be on the lookout for price changes as marketing companies and retailers will add their own markups to these prices. Scotiabank has announced the adoption of a new standard for parental leave for employees. The enhanced offering will include increased fully paid leave for all parents welcoming a new child. Maternity leave will be increased from 12 weeks to 14 weeks, and all fathers and adoptive parents with a new child will receive 4 fully paid weeks of parental leave. The enhancements to the parental leave policy came into effect in March 2022 for Scotiabank employees in Jamaica and other countries in the region where the bank operates. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, June 1, the US dollar sold for an average of $154.89. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $124.41. The pound sterling traded for $196.19, and the euro sold for an average of $167.99. The following reflects the movement of the JSE indices in Wednesday's trading session. The JSE index declined by 1,215 points to close at over 300,000 units. The junior market index advanced by 34 points to close at over 4,000 units. The combined market index declined by 828 points to close at over 400,000 units. And the all Jamaican composite index declined by 1,658 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 96 stocks, of which 40 advanced, 37 declined, and 19 traded firm. Stocks advanced for Barita Investments Limited, Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited, and Caribbean Cream Limited. Stocks declined for AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, CAC 2000 Limited, and Cargo Handlers Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, 1834 Investments Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. The following companies represent the overall volume leaders: Wigton Wind Farm Limited Ordinary Shares and JFP Limited with over 3 million units, and JMMB Group 7.50% with over 2 million units. In regional stocks in Trinidad and Tobago, Clico Investment Fund was the volume leader with over 3,000 shares, followed by Calypso Macro Index Fund with 450 shares being traded. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Epley Caribbean Property Fund Value Fund was the volume leader with over 34,000 shares. They were followed by Insurance Corporation of Barbados Limited with over 4,000 shares and Goddard Enterprises Limited, which traded over 1,000 shares. In market data for oil prices fell on speculation that Saudi Arabia and other OPEC members may boost crude output to compensate for a drop in Russian production. Brent crude was down $2.82 or 2.4% at $113.47 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude dropped $2.81 or 2.4% to $112.45 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, we start with Grenada. As the June 23 general elections draws near, 8 candidates for the parish of St. Andrew can now safely say they are representing the new National Party, NNP, and National Democratic Congress, NDC, respectively.
Party supporters created a carnival-like atmosphere on nomination day as they rally around their respective candidates for St. Andrew North East and Southwest earlier today. Each of the candidates successfully handed in their nomination documents Wednesday morning. NMPs Emmeline Pear and Kate Lewis Peters say they are happy to continue representing their constituencies.
Continue to help to build their communities. This is not just about politics. This is not just about votes. The important thing, this is a journey that should continue the development of communities and the development of people. And this is why I'm standing here this morning.
And this time, you are putting me in the based on my performance for the past 4 years. I have been tried, tested, and I have delivered to the people of this constituency of St. Andrew Northeast. And I am confident that I will remain the parliamentary representative for St. Andrew Northeast.
NDC candidates were also flunked by their party supporters. Gloria Thomas, Lennox Andrew, David Andrew, and Tessa St. Clair, who are first-time candidates, say they plan to continue their campaign.
I feel very proud to be selected to represent my people because I think that I can deliver more than what is happening at the present time.
There may be Goliath, but my name is David, and I want to say that it won't be the first time that a small axe may cut down an apparent big tree. But I'm not daunted by whoever. In fact, I'm not even competing against a name, so I'm not even seeing a person. I'm seeing a system that I want to go against.
Next step is to continue full throttle into campaign mode, and hitting the ground with the and so we continue in that mode, ensuring that the CBC wins.
The work continues. The objective has to be fulfilled. The mission has to be accomplished. And therefore, I would apply myself even more assiduously to the task of reaching out to every single person.
Despite the political rivalry, some party supporters from both sides were seen hugging and greeting each other while expressing their support for their representatives.
The Caribbean Court of Justice (CCJ) has set July 19 as the date for oral submissions in Guyana's election petition case. Acting Chief Justice Roxanne George had previously thrown out the petition after finding that the presidential candidate of the APNU, a Partnership for National Unity, and AFC, Alliance for Change, David Granger, was not served on time.
The case was filed at the CCJ, challenging Guyana's Court of Appeal's decision that it has the jurisdiction to hear and determine the appeal of the dismissal of APNU-AFC's Election Petition 99 of 2020. The applicant's Attorney General Anil Nandlal and Vice President Dr. Barrett Jagdeo, as the PPP General Secretary, have contended that the appeal is a matter of public interest and national importance, as it touches and concerns matters related to the 2020 general and regional elections. Presiding Judge Justice Witt, along with other members of the CCJ Case Management Panel, Justice Winston Anderson and Madam Justice Ramnath Lee, have set Tuesday, July 19 for oral submissions in the matter via video conferencing.
The hearing of this appeal will be held on Tuesday, the 19th of July at 10 o'clock in the morning by video conferencing pursuant to Part 82G of the Caribbean Court of Justice Appellate Jurisdiction Rules 2021. The oral submissions of the parties shall comply with the time limits and the order of presentation.
The appellants will have 30 minutes each to make their points, as will the legal counsels representing the first and second respondents.
In Trinidad and Tobago, Minister of Health Terence Dayal Singh says the country must come to grips with its non-communicable diseases, or NCD, problem. TTT Live has the details.
At a one-day seminar on the prevention and management of diabetic foot infection, the health minister lamented that many of the COVID-related deaths were people who had complications associated with NCDs such as diabetes, hypertension, and cardiac disease. He said that the COVID experience and those deaths should not be in vain, and there must be a total behavior change modification program in Trinidad and Tobago.
One of the reasons we are in this crisis is the medicalization of health, where we see every solution as popping a pill. So you want to sleep in the night, pop a pill. You're suffering from erectile dysfunction, pop a pill. You're suffering from anxiety, pop a pill.
The minister said the medicalization of health is driven in large part by pharmaceutical companies. He believes that is one of the worst things to happen in health. He said this, coupled with a total abdication of personal responsibility on the part of the individual, creates a perfect storm of non-communicable diseases.
We feel that I can eat what I want, drink as many soft drinks as I want, eat ice cream every day, eat sweet cake every day, but at the end of the day, pop a metformin, and I am good to go.
The United States on Wednesday said it is still formulating the invitation list regarding the attendance at the Summit of the Americas to be held next month. Caribbean community, CARICOM countries, are divided on whether or not to boycott the June 6 to 10 event, with St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves confirming Wednesday that he nor any other government minister will be attending the summit in protest over Washington's decision to not invite the leaders of Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. Other countries in the Americas, including Mexico, have also raised concerns regarding their participation in the deliberations, insisting that the summit should be inclusive and not exclusive. When asked repeatedly to provide an update regarding the participation of the three countries, U.S. officials said, quote, "We still have some final considerations, but we will inform the people publicly soon about the final invitation list," end quote. In sports, Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herro will headline next weekend's Rabat Diamond League when she lines up in the women's 100 meters. The 29-year-old will feature in a field which includes fellow Jamaican Natasha Morrison, the Bahamian duo of Anthony Strachan and Tanya Gaither, and Trinidadian Michelle Lee Ayi, the 2018 Commonwealth Games champion. Only last weekend, Thompson-Herro warmed up nicely for the season when she captured the 100 meters in Eugene, clocking a season 10.79 seconds. She led home American Sha'Carri Richardson, who was timed at 10.92 seconds, along with third-place Jamaican Sharika Jackson. Veteran Jamaican sprinter Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price will not compete in this league. The West Indies has secured their second victory in the three-match series against the Netherlands at VRA ground. Netherlands posted 214 from 48.3 overs. West Indies posted 217 for 5 from 45.3 overs, winning with 5 wickets in hand. As we reported in yesterday's newscast, Shea Hope's unbeaten century of 119 and Brandon King's 58 guided the Windies to a 7-wicket win as they successfully chased down 247 under the DLS method. And that's the news. Thanks so much for joining us.